All right, good evening, guys. Tonight we are going to start our unit on industrialization. So this PowerPoint is appropriately titled Industrialization, the Beginnings. Our learning target for tonight, I can identify factors that led to rapid industrialization in America. So there are a couple of factors that we are going to be looking at, about four. The first two that we're going to look at are by far the most important. All right, so if there's nothing else you take out of this PowerPoint, it is to know this next slide, because these are the two biggest factors that led to rapid industrialization in America. Okay, what we are going to look at, okay, appropriately titled Black, Gold, and Steel. Okay, the first thing that we are going to look at is coal. Oops, this thing works. Coal. And why coal is so important is because coal helps us really revolutionize the game, because down here I'm going to put coal equals gas. All right, so with the creation, or not with the creation, but with the I don't want to say this, sorry guys. With the finding and emergence of coal, it allows us to easily produce coal into gas, which is huge. Now, the second thing that we're going to look at is steel. And why is steel so important? Because steel equals massive buildings, okay? And so we have gas and we have buildings, and these are the two most critical factors that lead to industrialization. This, the finding and using of coal to produce gas, and then the emergence and the creation of steel. Okay, these are two huge factors. These lead to rapid industrialization in America, and here's why. Because we look at areas such as Cleveland and Youngstown, areas down in southeast Ohio, such as places like Steubenville and the Pittsburgh area, are all huge resources when it comes to steel and coal. And we will see these two cities in particular, Cleveland and Pittsburgh, part of the reason why they have such a huge rivalry against each other is because they are extremely similar cities. They both peaked during the early 1900s because of the emergence of coal and the emergence of steel. Now, in addition, what we also have is light. And here's what I mean by light, is that obviously Thomas Edison is a key figure here because he brings energy. And the energy that he brings is electricity. And why electricity is so important is because it's so cheap. Electricity does not cost a lot of money. So what that allows us to happen, or what allows us to do, is it now allows us to power big buildings. And by powering big buildings, that again, these buildings are made out of steel, these big buildings allow now for the creation of industry. Okay, and this is absolutely critical. So we looked at coal, we looked at steel, and now the next one that we're going to look at is electricity, and how electricity equals being able to power big buildings, and big buildings eventually lead to industry. Now, we think about industry, we usually think about big cities, but this also affects us in farming, and this is critical. Well, what does this mean for farmers? This means that what farmers can do is they can now replace the workers that they have, get rid of them, and use machines. And now, so this becomes a lot more efficient, and also, in the long run, cheap. Because now they don't have to pay these workers. They can do all of this work themselves because of this new machinery that they have, because of technology, because of this rise of industrialization, where they have farm tools that they can just do everything on their own. They can plow huge fields and plantations on their own. They don't need manpower and horses and all this stuff to do it anymore. So, just like with the GPS, when we think about a GPS, and yeah, it's not a great example, but it's the best one that I can think of, who now would purchase a GPS when you have a smartphone? Because what do all smartphones have? Well, they have a GPS. So now the GPS industry is essentially going out of business, because if you have a smartphone, you have a GPS. So now there is no need for a GPS. Just like if we have machines, we don't need people. Okay? So this leads to a lot of people who used to work in farms being out of work. So, in addition to people being out of work because of farms, with the creation of industry, this leads to big business. And so where do people who want jobs in industries, and where do these people who are now out of work go? They go to the big city. Okay? And we can see in this, we have skyscrapers, we have cars, we have lights, all things that when we drive by a big city such as Cleveland or Akron, we take for granted. But during this time period that we're going to study for the next 3 weeks or so, this is how these cities came about. And that's why it's so important to study these factors. Because if you know the factors that led to industrialization, such as the finding of coal and the creation of steel and the usage of electricity, if you know those factors, then you're good to go. Okay, so again, the goal is can we identify the factors that lead to industrialization? If you can do that, then you are 1 for 1. So this was a short PowerPoint. I hope you guys get the most out of it. I apologize for the choppiness in the beginning, but we should be good to go. Make sure you guys are studying your notes, and make sure you read over the weekend. Other than that, have a great night.